Thank you so much for that amazing intro. It's good to see everyone. My name is Erika Bennett. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Revolt and its parent brand, Offscript Worldwide. And I'm super excited to be with this panel of amazing experts in sport, entertainment, and music. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about borderless fandom, something I like to nerd out on. And it feels increasingly true that fans are connected less by where they live and more about what they care about, which happens to be a lot of music, sport, and entertainment. Today's audiences aren't experiencing those as separate entities, but rather their interest levels are fluid. And so I just had a couple of data points that really reflect that. 62% of fans today discovered a new team, a new player or league through short-form video, and not broadcast, which is very interesting. So we're seeing that majority shift from like an NBC to a TikTok. The global recording music industry has more than doubled in value over the last decade. Back in 2014, it was roughly 14 billion. Now it's closer to 30 billion. And last, 70% of that revenue is now coming from streaming, as you all know so well. So what I want to do first is just sort of talk to you a little bit more about what has changed in the last decade. How has fandom become more global, and why does it feel that way? So I'm going to start with you, Rob. Music has always traveled across borders, and we know that to be true. But why do you think music has become such a powerful gateway for sports brands trying to reach new audiences?
Yeah, it's a great question. We could talk about that for a long time, so I'll try to keep it brief. But you know, when I think about that, and when we think about this at Vevo, it's at the highest level. What we always say is most people are sports fans, but everyone's a music fan. Everyone has at least one song that they like. I'd like to meet the person that doesn't, if you exist. But at the end of the day, we feel like there's an incredible opportunity for brands to take advantage of, you know, sports and music at the same time and really contemplate the fandom and the audiences in high viewership, large audiences in short periods of time that music and fans and sports fans are able to generate. You know, when I think about the prime time of media today, it's truly driven by artists, athletes, and creators. I have a focus group of two at home, a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Great age.
And I know if it's not in their feed, it ultimately doesn't exist. And so artists and creators and athletes, and by the way, artists and athletes are creators, do a really good job of you know, really connecting with their communities and their fans through all the platforms that's available at the moment.
Yeah, I think you raised such an interesting point about the ecosystem between music and sport. Kevin, I want to take it to you. We're seeing sports borrow a lot from music's playbook, and we're seeing music's playbook borrow a lot from sports playbooks. So do you think we're entering an era where fans no longer distinguish between the two, or is there still separation there between sports and music?
Well, there's obviously a ton of synergy. Just look at the Super Bowl and all the brands that were surrounding that.
Right.
Events,
right.
Always with music, right? To go back to what you were saying before, I mean, social media has just flipped our business upside down in the best way, because fans in Australia now are discovering country music, which used to only be popular in the United States, and all of a sudden we're sending Luke Bryan to Australia to go sell out arenas, and things like that never happened.
Right.
So the social media, and it's going the other way too. We have K-pop bands that are selling out stadiums and sometimes are a whole day of a festival because they're headlining. And so we're seeing it kind of go both ways. Some of the things where it really overlaps, which is fun for us, I think, is the social media component, because, listen, when OG tipped in that ball for the Knicks,
Yes.
that traveled around the world in 2 seconds. We don't quite have a winner and a loser in music, but we have little things that happen, right, that are moments in music. Someone comes on stage. If you guys are familiar with Role Model, every night Role Model brings on a Sally, and the fans who are fans are waiting to see who's the celebrity Sally that's coming on, and those become social moments real fast globally. And so I think there's like overlap. Again, we don't have the winner or loser. You always win in music, by the way. But that's what I would say to reflect that.
I think it's so interesting that you talk about the Super Bowl and about sports events and specifically music culture around it. Just last week, Bad Bunny was the first artist to reach $1 billion in touring revenue. And he didn't even go to the United States. And in most countries he went to, he actually they don't speak his language that he sings in. So very interesting concept there.
Yeah, and also think just real quick, not every fan that loves Bad Bunny loves the NFL, right? So
Exactly.
there's this incredible opportunity for incrementality in that moment. I mean, I sat there. One of our teammates, actually, who's all the way over there, one time he was like, you know what? I was watching that halftime performance on TV, and a few minutes in, I realized what was happening is they were shooting a live music video. That's what happened. That the value of production and so it's that level of engagement that fans love live, but then they really run with it afterwards as well.
Yeah, I agree. Dawn, do you think that, speaking of Bad Bunny, do you think that fandom today is less about where you are and more about what you're a part of?
Well, I think definitely because, look, both sports and music revolve around passion and emotion. And like when we are going out to attach our brand into people's lives, it's all about people's passions and making an emotional connection. So we used to look at sport and music separately, but we've started to do is combine the two and see where there are overlaps,
Right.
and to make kind of 1 + 1 = 10,000.
Yes.
A perfect example is we're the front of kit sponsor of Manchester United, arguably the biggest sports brand in the world. But along with global football, along with fandom for global football, there's music. Every team, every club have songs. The fans make up lyrics to famous songs that you may have heard in the past, and they sing those songs constantly during the match. So music is a part of the sport. It's intertwined. So we decided to leverage that point, and we partnered with Kaleo, music artist from Iceland, who is a huge Manchester United fan, to have him cover Country Roads, or United Roads, which is a cover of Country Road, and play it in Old Trafford as a social video, which we launched with our Front of Kit shirt launch for season 2. The response from fans was not only overwhelmingly amazing, but the joy and the connection and the authenticity they get us, right? They knew about this song, how important it is to the fans of United, to bring Kaleo, an amazing artist who's a lifelong Manchester United fan, to do a cover. It was just like the perfect storm to connect passion and emotion across the two. I think people are going to start doing more of that.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily separate anymore. I mean, you're going to have a halftime show as part of a football game, like you mentioned, right? But you said they're really filming a live music video. Imagine if you could integrate that more, because it still seems separate. But if you could integrate that more, I think that's where the magic is.
Yeah, for sure. And Scotty, you're sort of the living embodiment of borderless fandom, right? You're born in Australia, you live here in France, you compete globally. We were just talking about Canada and Tokyo and all of the wonderful places you've been. How important have cultural touch points like music, like sports, and storytelling? How has that been an important part of connecting you to your fans and fans to you?
Firstly, hi everyone, or g'day as I should say, being Australian. It's great to be here. Yeah, look, I think, so I'm a professional snowboarder for a living. We're a bunch of misfits, as we say, where I'm in action sport, skateboarding, surfing, snowboarding, skiing. So I think our culture has many parallels that resonates with music and artists. Every time I drop into the half pipe and I compete, whether I'm at the X Games or I'm at the Olympics, I have music in my ears. To most people, that's absolutely shocking, but is the truth. I use music so many different ways as a tool to change my mindset about the moment that I'm about to come up against, or if I need a mood swing, I use music all the time. And I think what's been really cool nowadays, and I think obviously through our platforms, social media, etc., I think there's a lot of collaboration happening now between people in action sports and athletes, between music artists having an interest in sport, and that sports person obviously having interest in the music, And the two worlds coming together is amazing. And I think sport and music has so many intersection points. Myself personally, I'm an owner and I sit on the board of X Games, the company. It's one of the biggest and best action sports businesses in the world. And we're now using music a lot. We have Metro Boomin playing this year. We had JID coming up, and we have we have a lot of artists coming now, if you're into rap, to our events to actually bring in the audience of those artists, and then hopefully then they adapt and actually watch the action sport and vice versa. People come watch action sport and then they discover new artists. So we're actually using music a lot now in our world as well to bring our worlds and collide them together. And it's been personally fun being on that journey from the business side, because I know as an athlete how incredibly valuable music is personally, but obviously on the business side as well. So it's been fun to see that intersection.
That's amazing. I want to shift us a little bit. We've been talking a lot about just how consumers are not really seeing the difference between sports and music. They're actually using each to discover each. And I want to talk about how culture plays a role in helping move faster than maybe mainstream geography can. So Scotty, as an athlete, you've competed around the world and you've built a global fan base. Do you have a name for them, like the Beehive or the Navy, or like?
No name for them, sadly.
Okay, so we got to fix that.
We can think about it.
We'll take some suggestions from the audience after that. But how important has music really been in shaping your identity and your mindset? You talked a lot about your fans. You talked a lot about how it helps you. But is there a part of that that's also ingrained in who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking candidly, I wish every person in the world thought my snowboarding tricks were incredibly impressive, but majority of the time they don't really care, to be honest. That's the fact. But I think what they do care about is humility.
Yeah.
I think being eye level with my fans and my audience, and knowing that obviously sharing when I make mistakes like we all do as humans. And I think that that's been a really great point where we're at now is, being honest through your channels and telling a really good story and wanting something with a lot of passion, and if it doesn't happen, you got to take ownership of that as well. And then, naturally, what I like, generally my audience likes, and that's from what I consume when I'm watching different sport, or if it's something I find in common with in music. I must say, I am a huge country music fan. I won't lie, I'm from Australia. I love country music.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. My claim actually was I saw Zach Bryan in London, and this was about 5 or 6 years ago, and there would have only been maybe 350 people in the room, and now I wouldn't even get a ticket. So, no, I think there's many different ways, obviously, with my fans and I don't really call them fans, I say my community, that I get a connection with them, and we take them on the road and we ride the journey together, and through these points is how it happens.
I like that term, my community. Kevin, I want to take it to you because obviously you work for one of the world's largest companies that brings these experiences to life for fans every day. And live experiences really just used to be local. You went to a game in your hometown, or you went to a concert in your hometown. And today, as we've talked quite a bit about already, those experiences are now global moments through great mediums like social media. How can we turn these events really into cultural touch points for people that resonate far beyond those that are physically in attendance?
Yeah, I mean, look, just having the ability we do a lot of live broadcasting. One of our great partners, Disney Plus and Hulu,
Yes.
we're broadcasting Lollapalooza, Austin City Limits, and Bonnaroo, for example.
Amazing.
And now, thanks to Disney coming on board, because we'd been working with Hulu previously, we're now broadcasting that globally.
That's
So
incredible.
now we're literally touching fans who've never been able to see that artist all the way around the world. So in addition to the social media, those communities, come to life naturally. But what's also really interesting on the community standpoint, and we're seeing this more and more in our business, people are going to travel far
Yes.
to go see their favorite artists in sporting events. And sometimes if they hit it right, they do both actually in the same weekend, because you can go to a match and you can go see your favorite artist. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of what the expectation is for these fans is to be with those communities that they know all love this artist, they all love the sport. And so that's a really fundamental, really interesting thing that's happened in our business that just continues to grow and grow.
Yeah, I agree. We're seeing that in real time with the World Cup, and I'll tell you, at Revolt, one of the things that I oversee is our social media, and in addition to what we call X's and O's, like who scored this or who did that, the culture around it, what has gone most viral for us has been those moments where fans are discovering new foods, where they're actually partying in the street with fans of the other club that they're playing, or they're, exchange, that culture exchange that happens. So I think that's a really great point. Don, I want to bring it to you, CMO to CMO. We talk a lot about discovery, and we know that that discovery doesn't just happen in our company-owned channels, right? So it happens in culture. So how has technology really changed the way people find and feel a part of the sports and music community?
Well, discovery is actually undergoing a big evolution with the advent of AI.
Yeah.
Not just generative AI, but now as we move into the agentic age, where you're just going to talk to your agent, and your agent's going to help you discover things. And it's going to be less about you having to kind of dive in through an app or an operating system. But now a lot of discovery is happening through Gemini, ChatGPT, et cetera, and it's not really the traditional search methodologies that we're used to as CMOs. We've been used to. So the transition from SEO to geo has been something that we've been working on now for over a year. It's a change in behavior and mental thinking, where we spent money on search engine optimization in the past. We now have to, spend more on earned media. We have to make sure our content shows up more consistently in more places. The same thing is, true for everything. So even if you're an artist, or if you're a team or a club or a player, and you're looking to build that fan base, or you're looking to build community or reach, you have to think about this too, right? And it's not only going to a platform anymore, or searching up whatever that is. You're asking questions of an agent or a large language model, and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper within that experience, and you're not going out of it. Yeah. So how do you make sure that you can deliver that customer journey when you don't control it anymore? So whether you're a brand, an athlete, or a platform, we all have to be thinking about this. In addition to sweating our butts off here on stage. I live in San Diego, California. It's not this hot. But I think that's really important. So discoverability, more and more, the great hack,
yes,
is happening. We're not in control of it. We have to adapt to it, and we have to figure it out. And really, at the end of the day, the user is in charge. They're going to get to stuff how they want to get to stuff, and they've never been given more options, and they're going to continue to be given more options. And that just makes all of our jobs harder as we continue to connect with them as fans.
I think it's an interesting point that you bring up, though, about discoverability. And, Rob, I want to double click on that with you, because younger audiences are really driving that discoverability, right? They're creating content that's actually being pulled into the AI algorithm, we'll call it. How does that change the way organizations need to think about audience growth? And how does that change the way we actually need to think about community?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about and think about this a lot at Vevo when it comes to how we distribute the content that's licensed to us. Ultimately, I think you have to look in the rearview mirror and be less precious about the way media was created and distributed for 4 decades. I think there's a front porch now that exists that is truly just starting to be taken advantage of, but not necessarily at full speed. The way I think about AI, as well as all of our social feeds, and if you draw a parallel into the days of cable and broadcast, those platforms are like our new TV guide, right? And it's how content truly gets discovered. It's the point of entry. It's the gateway, and the users and communities, really based on their interests, will decide if they're interested, and they'll engage further, and they'll take one step further into the journey. and then into the final step, which might be a live broadcast, or if it's a full-length movie or something like that. But there's more user choice than ever. It's hard to capture their attention. The attention economy is a real thing, as is the clip economy. There's all these new, all these new terms that we all have to wrestle with. But I think that's a really important part. If you pay attention to the upfront season in New York, a lot of the presentations talked about vertical video and implementing vertical video into long-form platforms, and that's not by mistake.
Right.
That's trying to bring in audiences that either have been lost for good, that they're trying to recapture, or reintroducing new intellectual property to audiences that have yet to find that content. And so I think this whole topic is relevant to that question, because I think about a year like this, and a few of the events have been mentioned already, but between 3 of the biggest global events in 1 year, between the Super Bowl and then the Olympics and then World Cup, you have all these different artists that are creating content literally for these events, and it's the full gamut of genre, from Shakira to BTS to Madonna to Snoop to Mariah. It's truly an entry point for even sports leagues and brands that are involved with sports to acquire new audiences and from around the world.
And I think that the through line really is that community piece, Scotty, that you talked about, where you think of your fans not as fans, but as part of your community. Can you talk about cultural partnerships and brands that you trust, brands that your community will trust? How do you think about who you're going to work with and who really resonates with your audience? And where that kind of line is for you when you're thinking about partnerships?
Yeah, it's a topic that I talk often about with my team, and the foundation we've built with anyone we've done a partnership with in the past 5 or 6 years. And I think that the fans or the community, I think as well, are they're smart. They're tuned in. They know, especially they've been on your journey. They know when something's authentic and when it isn't. So you have to be very mindful of that. Sometimes money's money, and you want to make money, but you also have to think about the long term, and you got to think about the fans and the community that you've built and how you can compound that over the next. I mean, sport doesn't last forever, but I want my community to be with me for the next 10, 15, 20 years and whatever endeavor I do in my life. So those brand partnerships are really important. That it's also me telling them that I'm staying authentic to what I believe, and that's why they follow me, and that so on and so forth. So a really important thing that I always look at is obviously partnering with brands that I obviously can use every day. So it's authentic, it's organic, and then also what impact can I actually make on that brand or that partnership. Because it's one thing to have a brand partnership and you obviously have the transaction of the dollars, but then if that's where the buck stops, it's not necessarily going to have that much longevity. So I really like to try and actually see what I can do as an athlete and as a person to actually have impact not only on the partnership, but also on what the business is doing into the future. And I think, like I said before, with my community, they are smart enough and they know enough about what I'm interested in when I'm actually being genuine or not. So that's something that I really look at when I'm doing brand partnerships. And if I can really speak to my message through that brand partnership, and if they want to obviously do the same thing. So I think that's a really important factor when I'm looking at it.
Do they tell you when they're not happy with something you've done online?
No, they don't tell me. They tell my agents.
Oh, wait, your community goes straight to the agent? They DM your agents? Or?
So far, we're doing good. I think we're all ticks.
All right.
But, I'm still young.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin, I think when we think about community and live events, how important is community building at live events? Versus simply just driving attendance. I know you have a bottom line you've got to meet, but how important is it to really galvanize consumers while they're at your events?
Well, I mean, at our music festivals, that's why people are going to be a part of this community. But even within that, especially our camping festivals, at Bonnaroo, there's a to talk about this theme of sports. There's a morning run. There's the Roo Run every morning that people go to. At EDC, one of the biggest festivals we do, we have Camp EDC, which is really like a wellness experience. And the reality is, back to our topic here today, being physically fit at a festival and remaining aware and feeling good is important. It's 3 or 4 days typically, and you're kind of buckled in. So those communities are very rock solid and lean on each other. And it's like you're sitting next to the person and you're already friends with them without even speaking to them, which is just an amazing thing to happen in our business.
Have you discovered any new communities in this work that you maybe weren't familiar with or didn't know about?
I mean, I don't know if I've discovered new communities, but if I could speak to one quick thing before we're done here. We just announced a recent partnership with Spotify called Reserve by Spotify, and we're using all the technology and all the data that they have against the fan who's shared and listened, and really rewarding that person back to have an opportunity to go see that artist. So we're really excited about that. And so I think that technology is kind of helping that community and bringing all those together, but it's something we're really excited to explore.
That's incredible. Well, we are just about done with our time on stage. It went by very fast. But I just want to thank you all for your expertise here. We know that the global creator economy is going to hit $1.35 trillion by 2033. And so being able to showcase the rapid commercialization of creator-led content across media, entertainment, and sports is going to be even more important. So as we continue to evolve, we're seeing entirely new models of fandoms emerge. And I'm super thankful for all of you for your perspective today. We have one last thing before we wrap. We have an exciting announcement. So I'd like to call up to the stage Stagwell CEO Beth Sidhu and Craig Brommers.
Hi.
Woo-hoo.
Hi. All right, we're going to go over here, Craig.
Let's go.
All right. So it will all become obvious. Don, come on up here.
All right, I'm here.
So I'm Beth
Dude, the
Sidhu,
boots. Amazing.
CEO of Sport Beach. Stagwell's our parent company. I have with me Craig Brommers from American Eagle, and you all have met Don. And Don, we have a very special announcement.
We do. We talked a little bit about country music earlier on stage. And so we're super excited that for Cannes Lion 2027, here at Sport Beach, for the first time ever, we're bringing country music to Cannes. Monday night, Sport Beach, boots on the beach, the ticket that everyone will want and no one can get. Monday night 2027, brought to you by Sport Beach, Snapdragon, American Eagle.
Oh, dude, it's going to be so fun.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing.
Let's get a cheer for that. Maybe a yeehaw.
Yeah, yeehaw. Honestly, guys, we have been choosing Texas since early February with Ella Langley, our American Eagle ambassador, and we just finished our first year at Stagecoach, which set all sorts of records. So to have country music, which is increasingly popular not only in the States but around the world, be here on the beach of Cannes is going to be epic.
It's going to nail it.
Yes.
Those boots, man.
Yes. So I want to say thank you to Don and Craig for being amazing partners in this, and to our amazing panelists for proving the power of music.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you all. See you next year.